If you're serious about making healthy food choices that help you to not only look your best, but way more importantly, feel your best, then you cannot afford to ignore your moon. In medical astrology, the moon is a primary indicator of overall health, but it goes much deeper than that. The moon reveals how you nurture and nourish yourself. It's tied to your cravings, your unconscious habits, and even those sneaky foods you reach for when nobody else is looking. The moon is the ruler of the limbic system of the brain, which plays an important role in regulating appetite. The moon is also connected to the hormones leptin and ghrelin, which play an important role in your hunger and satiety cues. When your food choices are out of sync with your moon, it can lead to unhealthy cravings, overeating, and feeling unsatisfied no matter what you eat. But here's the good news. By understanding your moon sign and its connection to food, you can unlock the secrets to feeling genuinely satisfied with your meals and make choices that align with your body's natural rhythms. In today's video, I'm going to break down how your moon sign influences food cravings, including what each moon sign is most likely to crave, along with practical tips to satisfy those cravings in a healthy and nourishing way. And if this all resonates with you, you're definitely going to want to check out my upcoming Celestial Nourishment Workshop on Tuesday, November 19th. And if you're watching this in the future, you can absolutely catch the replay. In Celestial Nourishment, we'll dive deeper into your astrological nutrition blueprint, exploring how each planet connects with different nutrients and how you can align your diet and your supplements if needed with your unique astrological blueprint. And when you join us before the live workshop on November 19th, 2024, you'll save 50% on your enrollment. The link is down in the description below. And yes, you will get lifetime access to the recording, so if you can't make it live, that's okay too. All right, let's dive in, but before we get started, I need to mention that what I'm sharing today is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to understanding the moon's connection to food and your unconscious cravings. For a truly holistic view, you'll have to go beyond just your moon sign and look at the whole chart. That being said, what you're about to learn is the perfect starting point for using the moon's energy to support your health instead of fighting against it. Plus, as we go through each sign, I'll be sharing extra insights about key planetary aspects to the moon so you can go even deeper in your understanding. Now let's get started. For Aries moon sign people, what I'm about to share with you is also relevant to people who have Mars aspecting the moon, whether it's in a hard aspect like a conjunction, square, or opposition, or a soft or harmonious aspect like a trine or a sextile. People with the moon in Aries or Mars with the moon often crave spicy, bold flavors, exotic types of flavors, things that have a lot of heat because of the spices that are involved in their cooking, or things that physically are actually temperature-wise hot. They prefer their food to be warm, and they also prefer quick snacks that are very dense in energy. And so you'll find Aries moon people are really good about snacking on things that are high in protein, and that can actually be a good thing. There's not a super huge danger of overindulgence with the moon in Aries. What there is a danger of is just eating on the go or eating what's right in front of you because it's a quick fuel source, and not really thinking about the contents of the food, the ingredients of the food, whether or not it's going to be healthy for you, and whether or not it's going to nourish and nurture your body. For people who have the moon in the sign of Aries or Mars with the moon, what I highly recommend is meal planning and making sure that you have a lot of quick, satisfying, spicy, flavorful snacks that are very dense and rich in protein and essential nutrients that are handy and ready for you to eat on the go whenever you feel snacky, instead of snacking on whatever happens to be in the cupboard in the moment as you're rushing from thing to thing. Another thing that Aries moon people tend to crave, along with Mars with the moon, is caffeine and stimulants. They like coffee, they like dark chocolate, they like things that are going to give them that, again, quick burst of energy. And there can be a proneness to overdoing it, and they can also be a little sensitive to these stimulants as well. And so that's something to pay attention to, and just make sure that you're avoiding doing that if you can, and instead choosing healthier options that can boost your energy in a way that's not going to be overly stimulating to your system. For Taurus moon people or Venus aspecting the moon in either a conjunction, square, opposition, or a more positive, harmonious aspect like a sextile or a trine, you're going to prefer comfort foods, things that feel luxurious and rich and indulgent. Especially if you have Venus involved, there can be a sweet tooth for sure. This is someone who craves sweet foods, sweet things, lots of sugar, especially with that Venus involvement. And so you want to make sure that you have healthy ways of satisfying those sweet cravings when they do come up, so you're not prone to overindulging in cupcakes later because you've restricted and you've held yourself yourself back from what truly feels satisfying and nourishing. This is a carb-heavy type of person that craves carbohydrates, but it can be to your detriment. There's definitely an energy of overindulging. And even if it's not in carbs and in sweets, it's going to be overindulging in really rich, really luxurious comfort foods. And so you want to make sure that you have on hand healthy versions of what feel like comfort foods to you, your favorite treats, but in a healthier way, and that you don't allow yourself to overeat these things, even if they are the healthier version that are made with good ingredients. An example of this would be if you're somebody who craves sweets, make sure you have a lot of healthy fruits, berries especially. Make sure you include a little bit of raw honey if you can, and make sure that you have something that feels more indulgent that you can just snack on in little bits and pieces, like a couple of squares of dark chocolate. That is going to help you not go overboard later on when the cookies come out, or when you're at a party and there's, cake or something else that you could indulge in. It's going to help you feel satisfied on a day-to-day basis so you can stick with your healthy meal plan and still feel like you're getting what you crave. The same thing for those comfort foods. If you're somebody who likes, for example, pizza or macaroni and cheese, don't eat that all the time, even if you're eating a healthier version of that, but learn to create recipes that have better ingredients. So once in a while, you can still have the thing that you crave so you don't feel like you're depriving yourself. Again, you're way more likely to stick with a healthy eating plan if you do these things. If you have a Gemini moon or even Mercury aspecting the moon in either a conjunction, opposition, square, sextile, or trine, you're going to crave snacky foods with a lot of variety. Gemini moon people tend to crave things that are crunchy and light and snacky, and where they can kind of pick at little things here and there. They tend to be grazers. And this can be fine if you're not overdoing it and you're just having a little snack here and there, but your digestive system does need time to rest in between meals. It's actually very healthy for you to get a little bit hungry before dinner and to not snack on those potato chips in between. But what I highly recommend doing for Gemini moon people and Mercury moon people is making sure that each meal has a variety of different colors, foods, and tastes. You want to have a lot of different sensations with each and every meal so you feel like you're getting that variety. You want something crunchy, something salty, something sweet, something spicy, and a little bit of everything. And when it comes to snacking, make sure you have snacks that satiate you and solve that need for something crunchy, something snacky, something on the go that's healthy and protein rich, so you're not just constantly snacking because your blood sugar is going up and down, up and down. Moon and the air signs can be prone to this. The other thing about Gemini moon people is they tend to snack when they're bored. So the moon is our emotions, and sometimes you'll see emotional causes of eating with the moon in certain signs. And even though boredom isn't truly an emotion, I don't think, it is still something that will stimulate hunger, because you just want something that is going to be interesting going on in the background while you're watching that lecture, while you're, doing whatever it is that you do in terms of busy work and day-to-day things. And so making sure that every time you choose to have a snack, you ask yourself and check in with yourself, am I eating because I'm hungry, or am I eating because I'm bored? That's going to be really wonderful for Gemini moon people. Cancer moon signs are another one that crave really indulgent, really comforting foods. They crave the foods that feel nurturing on an emotional level, and they're also the most likely to eat their emotions or to not eat because of their emotions. It really depends on everything else going on in their chart and also which emotions they're feeling. Cancer moon people should never eat when they are feeling sad, when they are feeling angry, when they are in any sort of negative emotional state. Your digestion will suffer. That's true for everyone, but it's way more true for you. And because you have that Cancer moon, you're likely to be eating and making poor food choices based on that negative emotional state. You want to eat when you're feeling happy, when you're in a state of joy, when you're in a state of love, when you're in a state of, I am eating this because it is truly nurturing and nourishing for my body. The other thing with Cancer moon signs, like I said before, it's a little bit similar to Taurus, where they crave indulgent foods, but they typically crave like creamy, rich textures. They can overindulge in dairy sometimes if they are people that tolerate dairy. And so it's just being mindful of not overeating something because it feels really good in your body and, you know, it just feels really nice and comforting and beautiful in the moment, and then later on regretting it because you have a stomach ache. Because that's something that Cancer moon sign people can do. And the other thing that Cancer moon signs love is a good home cooked meal. And they love foods that remind them of their childhood, that remind them of their family, that remind them of things that feel safe and secure. And if you didn't have a good childhood, you're still gonna crave foods that remind you of times that were really happy in your childhood. And so that's another thing to watch out for. If there is a dish that your mom used to make that was your favorite, and you know it's not good for you, maybe it's like lasagna or something. This is just like with Taurus. You're going to want to make sure that you allow yourself to have a healthier version with better ingredients every once in a while to nurture yourself emotionally and to feel satisfied truly and satiated in your body, so you don't overindulge in the bad stuff later on. You have to give yourself those little indulgences if you are a Cancer moon, but you want to be mindful about what it is you're eating and the ingredients that you're putting into it. And chances are, as a Cancer moon, you might like to cook anyway. And so finding those recipes for yourself, that could be fun for you. With a Leo moon or the sun aspecting your moon in a conjunction, opposition, square, sextile, or even a trine, you might love luxurious, indulgent, gourmet types of meals and treats. You might splurge a little bit more financially when it comes to the food that you crave, as opposed to splurging on eating too much, although there can be an overindulgence with the moon in Leo. I have definitely seen that happen, where if there is a treat that you really love and it feels very luxurious and very special to you, you want to make it, you want the food to make you feel special. Like if there is a treat that someone used to make for you or that your mom used to make for you that made you feel like you were the most important kid in the world, that's going to be a food that sticks with you into adulthood. And again, you're going to want to find a healthier version of that food to satiate those cravings, to eat on occasion without overdoing it. But in terms of eating healthy and the things that you crave on a day-to-day basis, mostly what you crave is the ambiance, the sensation, the feelings that you get, the vibe, right? You want it to be like a high vibe. You want it to be this indulgent, luxurious feeling. And so you have to create that atmosphere for yourself around your food, your meals, and even the snacks that you have to make sure that you're feeling fully satisfied. And if you can take something that is super healthy, super nutrient dense, and super good for you, and bring that into the mix, that is wonderful. Moon of the fire signs do tend to crave like protein types of snacks, and that is actually really good. It can help keep you satiated for the long term, especially if you're doing something that's more satisfying, like a filet mignon or something like that, where it's more luxurious, it feels more indulgent. That can be a really great way to treat yourself, but to treat yourself in a way that's healthy. So Virgo moon signs probably have the easiest time when it comes to the food cravings that they often have, because they often crave healthy, fresh foods. They'll be eating carrot sticks and celery and, you know, nuts and berries and things like that. And that can be great if that works for your body, but, you know, for some people it doesn't work very well, and you need to incorporate other foods or eat things that are a little less raw. And so if you are a Virgo moon sign and you're constantly filling up your body with raw vegetables, with salads, with, you know, all these different things, and you don't feel your best when it comes to your body and your digestion, then you might want to think about cooking and heating up some of your foods. But otherwise, Virgo moon signs have an easier time with food cravings because they tend to crave the healthy stuff, and even when they don't crave the healthy stuff, they'll still make themselves eat the healthy stuff. And so it works out in the end. So for Libra moon signs, and again, this also applies for Venus aspecting the moon, conjunction, opposition, square, sextile, trine, they crave balanced, aesthetically pleasing foods. The presentation is just as important as the food itself. And so this is a big thing with Venus people too. You want your food to look really good. You don't care if it tastes amazing if it looks really gross. And so making sure that you're creating healthy meals that look really good using all the colors of the rainbow can be very appealing for Libra moon people to help you to eat things that are healthier for you. Libra moon signs often also crave sweet and combinations of sweet and savory together. So like that salted dark chocolate. Libra moon signs can also have a sweet tooth, and they often crave these combinations of like sweet and salty flavors where they balance each other out, or sweet and savory combinations of food. And so that's another thing to look out for. If you can find healthy foods that satisfy that need, like maybe having a couple of squares of salted dark chocolate, that can be a really great indulgent treat for people who have Libra moon signs that can still be healthy for you. Find good quality dark chocolate that's packed with antioxidants, that's low in heavy metals, and go at it, right? There's only so much dark chocolate you can eat. You're gonna get a stomach ache if you overindulge in that. And so that can be one really great sweet, savory, salty treat for Libra moon people. Scorpio moon signs, or Pluto aspecting the moon, and sometimes Mars aspecting the moon. So again, that's conjunction, square, opposition, trine, and sextile, crave intense, bold, and sometimes bitter flavors. They like black coffee. They like super ultra 95% dark chocolate. They like things that are much more in your face when it comes to their taste, not necessarily spicy, although they can crave spicy. They are ruled by Mars, or at least Scorpio is ruled by Mars. But more, the flavor needs to be bold and like it has to pack a punch. And so finding ways to indulge in these things without having it be overly stimulating, because that's another thing with those Scorpio moon signs, is that they can crave stimulants and they can overindulge in things like caffeine. Making sure that you're satisfying that craving, maybe with some sort of like, I don't know, chicory root tea or something like that, where it's like, or dandelion, roasted dandelion root and chicory, where it tastes a little bit like coffee, but it's not coffee, right? Or decaf coffee or something like that being in the mix, or 1/3 caffeinated coffee, like something where you're not getting too much stimulation, because that can actually be very difficult on your emotional state if you are a Scorpio moon person. I will also say that Scorpio moon people are sometimes drawn to unusual foods that other people are like, that's kind of gross. And so I've seen that a little bit. But Scorpio moon people are pretty good at kind of controlling their food cravings and controlling themselves around food. So it's usually not a huge issue. Even though they crave something, they're not going to overdo it. And so even though they crave something, they're not usually going to like really overdo it unless something else is going on with their chart. Like maybe their moon is in a conjunction with Jupiter, which we're about to talk about in a second. So for Sagittarius moon signs and Jupiter aspecting the moon, so that's going to be Jupiter in conjunction, opposition, square, trine, or sextile to the moon, you might crave exotic and adventurous foods, foreign cuisine, especially for those Sagittarius moon people. You also crave hearty, fatty, and really filling foods. And so that's what feels really indulgent for you, a good, hearty, spicy, like foreign meal. And so the best way to satisfy those cravings and do it in a healthy way is to find healthy versions of that. Make sure that you're not overdoing it when it comes to especially bad types of fats. You want to be very mindful of the types of fats that you're allowing into your body and including in your diet, especially if you have that Jupiter with the moon. And you want to make sure that you're giving yourself things that feel really hearty and really filling and really satisfying, and especially incorporating a lot more protein, because that's going to help satiate you as a fire moon sign, and it's going to help to calm any excess food cravings or overindulgences that you might be prone to. That's going to be really important too. But like healthy little treats that are like fatty but good for you, like macadamia nuts or something like that, could be a really great snack that could help you feel good, that could provide you with some really good fats, but not be like overdoing it and making you sick or causing health problems later on down the line. I should also note that what I have found in my medical astrology research by looking at a lot of charts is that moon conjunct Jupiter people do tend to overeat. They have a proneness toward binge eating. So if I look at things like binge eating disorder or even bulimia, you'll see a lot of Jupiter conjunctions to the moon. And so it's not that when someone has a Jupiter conjunction to the moon, they're going to have an eating disorder and they're going to have like binge eating, but there is definitely a greater tendency to overdoing it when it comes to food. You crave and you crave and you crave. Those hunger and satiety cues are not turning on at the right times, especially the satiety body cues. And so that's something to be mindful of. You have to be extra careful to make sure that you're eating until you're satiated, but not full to the point of exploding, right? And there's a fine line between satiated and full, and most people overdo it. And so you want to start learning your body's cues and being much more mindful of how your body feels as you're eating and after you're eating, so you know when enough is enough. For Capricorn moon sign people, or Saturn aspecting the moon in conjunction, opposition, square, trine, and sextile, you prefer traditional, timeless foods or classic comfort foods. They tend to crave things that are more basic, more bland. They also tend to crave things that are healthier, and they tend to do better at being maybe a little overly restrictive sometimes, but restricting their eating in a way that promotes health, where they don't necessarily overindulge in things that are not good for them very often. And so Moon and Capricorn people are a little bit better at controlling their eating, and they have this like determination, this self-discipline, this willpower that allows them to make sure that they're eating healthy. And so it's not usually as big of an issue for Capricorn moon people or Saturn aspecting the moon as it is for some of these other moon signs. For Aquarius moon signs, or Uranus aspecting the moon, you may crave unique and unconventional foods and flavors. If it's weird, if it's wild, if you've never tried it before, that is what you want. And so something you can do to actually utilize this to your advantage is every single week when you go to the grocery store, when you go shopping, pick one healthy food that you know is good for you, that you know is packed with nutrients that you have never tried before, and put that in your shopping cart. Bring that home with you. Allow that to be one of your snacks for the week. If you're feeling really wild, get a couple of different things that you've never tried before that you know are healthy. That's going to be a really fun way for you to snack on things and eat things in your meals that are truly satisfying to you emotionally, psychologically, and physically as well. Aquarius moon people also tend to fluctuate in their hunger and in their eating habits. It tends to be a little all over the place, especially if you are a Uranus moon person. Then your eating is going to be kind of sporadic. It's going to be all over the place. You're not going to have a routine or schedule around it. Like, you crave foods in the moment and then you eat them. And so having some sort of routine or regiment where you at least have, like, at this time of day I'm eating this meal, can also be helpful, so that way you're not going too far in between meals, getting really, really hungry and then overeating as a result. And then finally, for Pisces moon people, and to a lesser extent Jupiter aspecting the moon again, so again, sextile, trine, conjunction, opposition, and square, Pisces moon people love soothing, soft textured foods, things that feel really good. They like their food to have high vibes. They like their food to be created with love and with good energy. And they often crave sweet and comforting types of treats. And so for those of you who are Pisces moon signs, I highly recommend having things on hand that are sweet and healthy at the same time, so you can satisfy your sugar cravings without going overboard and without eating a bunch of actual, like, processed sugar. And so examples of this could be having, you know, some fruit on hand, or some berries, especially having some raw honey in your tea, eating something like a little bit of dark chocolate, eating something like a healthier version of a comfort food or pastry that's created with better ingredients every once in a while to help satisfy those cravings. Or so when you're tempted later on down the line by something way more indulgent, you won't overdo it, or maybe you won't even cave in. Maybe you'll stick to the things that you know are healthiest for your body. And so that's a really good one for Pisces. Pisces is another sign that should not be eating when you're in a negative emotional state, and especially you shouldn't be eating around other people that are sad or mad or in a negative emotional state, because that's going to impact your digestion and your food choices. And you also can get swept up in other people's diets and their dietary dogma without actually checking in with what's best for you and with your body. And so you want to make sure that you're giving yourself some separation from other people around meal times and around snacks and things like that as needed, so that way you can make sure you come into your own space, come into your own energy, reset and feel good, to make sure you're eating the right foods for you and not the right foods for them. that is my rundown of the moon and all the signs and food cravings, food choices. I hope you found this interesting and helpful. We dive way deeper into this and specific nutrients and deficiencies, excesses, all of that in my Celestial Nourishment Workshop. Again, that's happening on Tuesday, November 19th of 2024. You can join us for 50% off if you're watching this before that. If not, you can still get access to the recording, and I hope to see you there. Bye, everyone.